Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets throughout Indonesia last week, making international headlines. These protests quickly became violent after police fired tear gas, rubber bullets, and water cannons to disperse the crowd. The demonstrations were against a proposed criminal code that outlaws sex outside of marriage and a new law that weakens the power of the Corruption Eradication Commission. Experts say this could threaten the future of democracy in Southeast Asia's biggest economy. I'm Liz Pulver, and this is Unveiled. A group of student protesters presented a list of 7 demands to President Joko Widodo, who won his second term by appealing to conservative Islamic groups. The demands include removing military troops from Papua, a region that has recently been overrun with violence. High school students lit governmental buildings and homes on fire to protest human rights violations. Police responded by stabbing or shooting arrows at the protesters. At least 30 people have been killed. Usman Hamid, Amnesty International Indonesia's executive director, described the clashes as one of the bloodiest days in the past 20 years in Papua. Changes to this new criminal code would also strengthen anti-blasphemy laws, ban abortions unless in the case of a medical emergency or rape, and limit freedom of speech and expression. Anyone who insults the government could face jail time. Imagine every person who tweeted their frustrations with our government winding up in prison. This could soon be a reality for Indonesians. The code also punishes people who have sex outside of marriage with up to a year in prison. Since Indonesia does not recognize same-sex marriage, this law would criminalize gay and lesbian relations without explicitly stating so. The bill is supported by Islamists throughout the country, which has been shifting towards more conservative policies over the last several years. For now, President Widodo postponed voting on the new criminal code until October, when the next parliament is in session. Aside from the proposed criminal code, the protests were sparked when the House of Representatives passed a law weakening the KPK, an independent agency that fights governmental corruption. 2 of the most alarming changes to the anti-graft body are that the executive board will now be appointed by the president, and the new chairman, chosen by parliament, is a member of the police force. Since its creation in 2002, the KPK has arrested hundreds of government officials. At the time the law was passed, 23 sitting members of parliament had been officially named as corruption suspects by the KPK. Protesters fear that not only the credibility of the KPK, but democracy as a whole is at stake.